We'll go ahead.
Mike Dolson,
I'm here.
Tom McDonald,
Nay.
Jennifer Finley. Here. Jim Molitor, Carol Langford, Danielle Matt,
Here.
Bing Matt, James Steele Jr.,
Nay.
Martin Charlo,
Present.
Len Tutti,
I'm here.
Lanish Trahan.
James, will you give us a prayer this morning, please?
Lamlamshka Kulan Sutin Yesu Kali. Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the blessings of a beautiful tribal homeland. Ask for your special comfort over families that have lost loved ones recently, and particularly the Haynes family down in Arlee. Ask that you keep our police officers, our firefighters, and fire control folks all safe this summer as they take care of our people on the highways and byways and the mountains and waterways. Also pray for things in DC, that things would go accordingly to be good for everyone, not all the negative that we're seeing. Ask for your guidance over our council meeting today. Thank you for this council, our colleagues, and our staff. Watch over all of them. Amen.
Thank you, James. We do have minutes from June 26th.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir, James.
Yeah, I made a couple changes. I put page 1. I sent them to Abby already. Page 1, I just added, sent out a proposal from the University of Montana Bureau of Business and Economic Research. And then later on, I talked about, so I just put in Congressman Pat Williams. I think it's that same page. And that's the changes I made.
Any other changes for anybody?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Martin.
I sent a couple, I guess, not corrections, but just kind of informational on the disc golf tournaments, just the names of them and where they're located at.
Thank you, Martin.
I'd make a motion to approve the June 26th, 2025 minutes with corrections.
Motion by James, second by Tom. All in favor? Danielle and Martin. I got 6-4 and Danielle out of the room, I believe. Are you there?
Yeah, I threw a thumbs up for it. Not sure
Okay.
if my reactions are coming across the screen.
We're unanimous then. Thank you. We have an agenda for today. Anything to add to the agenda, anybody?
I'll think of something.
James wants a spot. Tom.
Mark.
I don't have any walk-ins, but I just had one issue that asked council for a motion.
Okay, Jennifer. I would entertain a motion to approve the motion by James to approve the agenda with additions. Second by Tom. All in favor? We're unanimous. Jennifer, what's your issue?
Michelle Mitchell from Tribal Education Department wanted to know if we could include Michelle Morjo to that leave last week with supervisor's approval for change of duty because she forgot her name on the list.
So this is after the fact?
She was there though the whole week. It's just Michelle forgot to put her name down. And then she asked me Thursday morning, and then I kept forgetting to bring it up.
Oh, okay. We had Michelle Morjo's name to the list of change of duty for Michelle Mitchell. Yeah,
Motion. Michelle Morgeau. Motion to add Michelle Morgeau to the change of duty request for
tribal education.
tribal education.
Motion by James, second by Jennifer. All in favor? We're unanimous. Go ahead, Lynn.
Just a question about the agenda. What is the issue that we'll be discussing with all the legal department?
I just sent you guys the email on that as well.
It's section 7 out of the compact and what we can actually spend money on and how soon we'll be able to get that money. We were gonna have that major discussion about that whole process. That week. I think before and after. So that we know what it can be targeted at and just a general discussion. So I know you've had questions about when do we get to spend it and can we get it going on stuff? Those would be appropriate questions this afternoon. We're waiting for Mark for Tom and James will think of his when it comes along. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. Just within the last few weeks, I've had probably 4 or 5 different tribal members. Just with one of them was Joanne Morjo. She was trying to get through the phone system and get into the lands or some different departments, and it took her quite a few calls to get through. So it's the call system. And then when she finally got someone, they didn't know, how to handle her situation. And then over the weekend, I had one similar one. They were trying to get through the system and basically were kind of upset that they couldn't get through the switchboard at the front. Got confused when comes to the press this number for that and this and that. So they got kind of confused on that process. And then I've had those similar comments over the last couple of months, just trying to navigate the phone system and kind of wishing we had somebody to answer the phone at the main desk. So, and I know we've got folks out there. It's just, kind of one of those ones that we always hear from time to time. So I thought I'd bring that up.
It's basically 2 issues in that, namely the phone system in its own right. And then just having somebody that actually can give good customer service and advocacy for anybody that does call. We got both of those. Jennifer.
We used to have Nancy Shaw out here, and she used to be that person that would get the phone calls, but as soon as that got moved and it was front desk, we were trying to get Bernie to do that because Bernie knows everybody. But the way they moved these front desk people around, it's kind of hard for that. But I was trying to ask them because Bernie knew everybody and she knew exactly extensions and still. So I was trying to advocate for her to sit out here to have the phone calls come to her. Or when it's missed out but from what Jay Blue said was they were just forwarding all the phone calls to Jay Blue, and Jay Blue was answering them until he was like just stuck at his desk instead of having to go get signatures or go do stuff. So we finally brought it up and they're trying to get better on it, but I was hoping to get like our one designated front person here again. And Bernie was that person we were trying to go for, but she's not under me no more there at this position, so I couldn't have somebody just totally sit there.
Guess maybe we should visit how that person is actually in the organizational chart and dedicated to the phone in the position. Tom and then James.
Can I follow up real quick?
Okay, James.
Yeah, sorry. I think maybe if it's thinking about how do we have someone hired, that, seem like we need to have someone dedicated, even just for directing traffic out here. I know we had Nancy Shaw for a while
Had
and
Nancy and then we had Jim Adams. Tom would back Jim Adams. He was really good there too. And
Yeah.
then we got Bernie out here and Bernie knew everybody and knew where to send them. We didn't have to say
Yeah.
HRD. She knew exactly where. So that's who I was trying to advocate for here. So.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there's two issues that I see. It's first getting through the main system to your desired person or program to talk to, and that occurs here and at Tribal Health also. The second one is people just answering their damn phone. So the one complaint that I got, I will be talking about, just asking a question about this individual, Mark, is that she was reported that the two people she was trying to call, they were at their office, they were sitting at their desk, and they weren't answering any calls at all. And another employee just reported that to her, that they're just sitting there and they're not answering their phone. So I know yeah, but it's kind of symptomatic, problem in different places that might be occurring. But also, I think I made the request to see if we couldn't publish individuals' cell phones, if the tribes are paying for that cell phone, that those numbers could be available for people to use as an alternative to get directly to a person. So I don't know where we're at with that. Anyway, I know we want to make sure that people can get good service. Part of that is being able to get to the person you need to talk to. And we publish our cell phone numbers and contact numbers in the Charcusta for the tribal council members. But again, I think it's just great customer service is to provide different departments, different programs, the names of people so people know who's in what position, and then their contact information or their office phone, if they have a work cell phone, just get it out there so people have alternatives to reach people. I think that would behoove us, customer service. Thank you.
Jennifer?
Can we kind of do like, did you guys see tribal court ended up putting out their list on Charcusta and online and stuff? We could kind of start doing that with division or departments individually to get it going.
Ed Lynn.
I believe it was last October when Vice Chairman mentioned that we need to publish everybody's cell phone number into Charcusta. Nobody followed up on that. And here we are. And it's just like we need somebody that's going to work directly with the council to make sure that our initiatives and our directives are being taken care of. Otherwise, we're just talking circles over and over and over, and nothing's getting done. But I think that's extremely important that those of us that have cell phones that are being paid for by the tribe, they need to be published, and so we can keep track of who's answering their phone and who's not. But this has been an ongoing issue, this customer service thing, and it's not getting any better, it's getting worse. Yeah. And we gotta take some strong action to address that.
Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, it's just that, when you think about it's today, cell phones are your main communication device and it's with you all the time. Everybody carries one. Going through a switchboard is kind of old school. So it's like, why isn't everybody just, this isn't the main primary communication because you're texting or using it for other forms of communication, whether it's Facebook or whatever it might be. But I really think that, it's absolutely a requirement that if we're paying for a work phone, that work phone we published and available to our membership, at least at a minimum.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, the folks at all these different folks that I've talked to me are older folks, you know, 70s and such, and so they're used to that system. And everyone else that's younger, it's like they're texting, they're emailing, they're doing all those things and Facebook calling and yeah. And so and actually there's some staff that I'm able to get through like on a Facebook Messenger or some things. People message me on there and I think I need to get my work cell phone republished in the Charcusa because I don't get any calls on it. But people, I'm trying to call you. I'm like, well, call me on my work cell phone. I got it. It's with me. I mean, they got it at the front desk. They can, well, I just message you on Facebook. I'm like, that's absolutely fine. Just do it however you want to. But yeah, I agree. We just need to have our, at least the department heads, you know, at least important key division managers probably. So anyway, thank you.
Council numbers are all in Chartcusta yet, aren't they? Tom?
I just wondered if there wasn't an app we could create that would publish all that information, you know, or have it there, and then you could just download it on your cell phone to your contact list. You know, something for those people that are able to do that, which isn't me, but since I'm in that category of old school, you know, there's the guy right there.
Did you sell your Corvette toaster yet?
I can either confirm or deny that, Senator.
Morning, Rob.
Hey, I'm about ready to sell your golf cart, so I don't know if you want to put a bid on it. Your dad's golf cart. You need it back? You need your golf cart back? Your dad had?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Enjoy it.
I know you're getting older, Rob. You know, so.
I've been shopping, but yeah. Need to walk. What's on your mind?
We're complaining about the phones,
Yeah,
not being able to get people.
perennial topic.
And I don't know exactly if just getting the word out that we expect good customer service and people to answer their phones,
It's
if
an
that would help.
incremental thing. The directors meeting weekly. It comes up regularly with various small strategies to identify things that can be addressed. There's a success story with courts because they had a problem, but I worked with Brad and his staff and have listed on the website additional numbers and contacts because that's a regular public interface place. And he also was made aware that complaints that people weren't picking up the phone, so he doubled down. So step by that, I think it falls heavily on department heads. And then the directors, of course, pass that down to department heads. But obviously open to any new solution or attempts to help. I do scan Facebook for people who get frustrated and bicker and then reach out to them directly and usually just share that message. And it's not that department heads don't respond. They tend to, and there had been talk, and I don't know where it is, of doing another scan of what departments have numbers with the most voicemails lined up, backed up, which gives an indication of problem areas. Rick Inius did that back when, and I think Lisa was in discussion on deploying another couple tests like that, if I remember correctly. So it's a multi-point problem to require a multi-point solution.
The one solution that's been suggested is that if we actually provide the cell phone to folks, that cell phone should be published.
Have had that discussion, and it caused a lot of rancor among departments because, particularly among courts, some phones cannot be made public. And so I have that raw list in hand and haven't progressed to approach each department of saying, I'll identify which ones shouldn't be put out there. I think it'd be viewed as a violation and an overstep by departments if their department head doesn't usher it through. So I've been kind of gently announcing I have these and I could put these up. And this is the problem. And that has made departments jump to look more closely at. So If you like, of course, I can just blast them out and put them out there, but I do think that would come with a pushback. And I think a better solution is to ease into it and say, look, this is the problem. Council that is very aware. They would like this to happen, but what do you think is best as the expert in your department on how to deploy this? That kind of approach.
Can we get a timeline?
I can come up with one.
Go ahead, Glenn, and then Tom.
Rob, here's the fact that those cell phones are paid for by tribal dollars. And as we all work for the membership, I think we have an obligation to them. And we continuously have gotten this similar complaint in the last 3 to 4 years, right? And it's just frustrating. I'm not sure what's going on with the switchboard. If we have people there at the switchboard, I don't know. I don't know how that works, or if when somebody calls 675-2700, where does that go to?
The main switchboard.
Main switchboard?
There's 1 or 2 people working at all times, and it's been hit and miss for myself. Sometimes the line's busy. I mean, you have 2 individuals and over 1,000 phone lines. So it is a bottleneck and it's an archaic system. And I suggested to Lisa, we need to revamp the entire system.
Yeah, I know one of the issues that I brought up a while ago was the rate of pay that we pay those folks. You know, we get what we pay for.
It's a revolving door. It's not a job anybody wants to do more than
Yeah,
a month or 2.
and I think we need to look at that and potentially raise that rate of pay so we can start attracting some people that want to work. You know, at least a livable wage, because that's important. That communication is important. If somebody's that needs assistance ASAP, communication is essential. Essential part of the operations here that we have an obligation for the membership. We need to address that. So
I agree 100%.
I still support that we need to publish everybody's, not only the directory, but their cell phones, because those are tribal cell phones.
Tom and then Jennifer.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, Rob, if there's some unique special requirement that would limit the publication of a tribal paid for cell phone, then I'm fine with that. If that justification comes through, if the court has something, I can imagine that, and it is very common. But definitely, I could see for some folks that aren't program manager level and above, that aren't exempt, that aren't considered salaried employees, that they might object to it. But those folks that are program manager level and above are technically on board 7 days a week. They're exempt, and so they're considered salaried. So the expectation is that you are on call basically 24/7. And so that I would really object to if they didn't want to have their cell phone published, because they're paid at that level. And for the hourly wage folks, I could see a little bit, but what their option is, if they don't want calls after hours, after work hours, is to turn their phone off. And that's all they have to do. And then they can pick it up as soon as their workday starts again at 7 o'clock Monday morning or whatever. But everybody else, there's no excuse unless they don't want the work cell phone. But I found it very frustrating when I worked that people would not take calls. People that were above me would not take calls. And I always forwarded my office phone to my cell phone. So I always got calls. And management occurs all the time. At least at my level, I was supervising game wardens and Blue Bay and Bison Range, and these facilities are open 24/7. So you have to be able to deal with that. So I have a difficulty in knowing that some people may not want to do that. If they don't want to be contacted by their cell phone, it's work cell phone, then they can find another damn job. That's the way I look at it. So anyway, that's my opinion. Thank you.
Good, Jennifer.
Yeah, I guess I have a slightly different take on it. I think if people aren't, one of the reasons some people might not be answering their cell phones is they might be overwhelmed. And maybe they're not in a good place. And, I was just thinking about this when we were in our training for, not our training, but our justice system meeting and justice system talks is that I think a lot of our employees have a lot of trauma and there's probably lots of depression. People are coming to work, but if they're not functioning at their highest, then, maybe there's something we can do on the workforce end and providing more resources for people at work to help them manage their stress better. Um, we haven't provided supervisory training. There's a lot of trainings that we haven't provided as employers, like how to handle stress and how to cope with difficult people. And I know in working in customer service jobs, um, it's a super high burnout job when you're just dealing with people who have problems all day and complaints all day. Um, and granted, they signed up for that. They know what they're getting into, but I think I think there's more we can do for workplace resources, how to manage your stress, how to, those kinds of things that are never going to go away. Certain jobs, you're just always going to have to deal with some measure of difficult people, some, measure of stress, but how do you handle that every day better? And I really would like to see, and I don't know how it would be, but um, we have the summer youth employment program. I think that should be year round. And I think some of those jobs like answering the phones, that could be done by a high school kid. I mean, some high school kids don't go to school a full day. They only go part of a day and they can do work. I mean, they can do work for part of the day. So I'm just thinking, I think there's some creative ways we can solve, that problem. And I think there's probably some kids who would love to come here and work for a couple hours a day, every day, or to do some job within the tribe every day to get experience in our organization. But I think there's a lot more we can do to provide resources for our employees' mental health because I think some people do get really overwhelmed with the day to day because they have a lot they have to deal with at home. And I think we have a lot of single parents and grandparents supporting kids. And my kids are grown and I'm like, thank God I made it through the gauntlet. They're raised, they're off. But some people are still in it. And some people who are older than I am have little kids. And I just think, oh, that was such a stressful time in my life. And some people are just kind of always in it. They're always raising kids. And I just think there's more we can do for workplace to help people cope with life better as an employer.
James,
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. In a previous life, I worked at a call center for Sprint. And you want to talk about, I thought, oh, I know how to answer the phone. No, got into that call center training and had this little short lady, nice as could be, but was a drill sergeant, basically. And they would listen to your call and then they would say, you didn't sound happy on the phone. You need to, I don't care how you come to work. I don't care if you feel terrible. You have to sound like on the phone, like you're happy to have them on your phone and you got your tone of voice and, oh, hi, thank you for calling Sprint customer service in Bremerton, Washington. How may I help you today? Even though you might feel like crap. So anyway, there's a little more than just telling a staff person answer the phone. You have to have an etiquette. So that's kind of coming to my mind that, things that Jennifer had mentioned that I didn't think about those kind of things. I thought, oh yeah, I know how to answer a phone, but no, not that. And after I got done with that class, no. But there is a certain thing, particularly folks like Rob, you're saying, the folks that are in front line, how do they handle when somebody's disgruntled? How do you handle that continually when they're all disgruntled? Working when I worked as a jailer, nobody was happy to come to jail. Well, there was a couple of people, but they weren't happy after they sobered up. But I do think we need to, I don't know if there's a way to have some kind of, training or something. I hate to say that. I just know at Tribal Health, we all will get these notices from IT. You need to complete your, or whatever the program was that would, you haven't done your HIPAA training, and we go online, do the thing and answer the questions and, you know, those kind of things. So I don't know if there's a way to give those folks that are on the front line that Jennifer's saying that are continually they never get a good call. They always get the mad ones. How do you give our staff the tools to know how to mentally process those things? And, anyway, thank you.
Kind of wondering if, departments want to actually figure out their own strategy for taking care of the phone system, but making sure it's covered. That would be fine with me. If not, maybe you do dump all the cell phones. Jennifer?
Yeah, well, CSKT provides cell phones for people, but a lot of workers also get, I think it's a $40 credit if they use their own cell phone for work. So I think if you're getting money to have a cell phone, it does need to be public. And yeah, it just does. And I think that, like James was saying, customer service, you do need the training. I worked at a gym. We sold memberships, and we used to get calls from our supervisor at work. She would randomly call us to make sure we were answering the phone properly. So it was just like, so you always had to be on, and you always had to, because you could be talking to someone who would buy this really expensive gym membership. So you do need the training. The training really helps. And we haven't really provided that. So we expect people to be at a certain level, but we haven't provided the training. So we need to set people up for success. And some kind of training on how to deal with difficult people is really helpful. I've had training like that before, and it helps.
We need the phones answered.
I hear that loud and clear. I'm not sure I'm the solution.
I'm wondering,
And I'm a little confused at your expectations, but I have some suggestions that I'd like to lay out.
you're the communicator.
That's what I'm taking this as, is a little venting, and I'm aware, but I
Yeah,
do
give
have
me that
some-
golf cart back,
Trade you the golf cart for your Cadillac toaster.
We never been so regretful of posting something on Facebook Marketplace as I am right now, but I'll get over that.
Hey, Rob, I've just been teasing him unmercilessly for that toaster.
Every day he texts me.
Maybe you and I can get together and do a little strategizing on the
Uh,
phone, since you have the cell phones.
If you grant me 90 seconds, I just want to paint a picture of what could be.
Sure.
I believe I've been asked this multiple times by outside agencies. What is the leadership style in your organization? And it's been something I've been mindful of for 20 years. How do we lead? How do we get things done? And I think there's dozens of answers that I've seen take place. But in this case, I see opportunity for council to direct a short plain memo to the directors and say, we expect this. We would like a timeline. We would like to see this done this way. And then the directors would deliver that clean, clear message to the department heads. We want this done. We would like to see it. And we want reports back on how you're going to get it done. And then analysis as to measuring what is the extent of this problem. Because I hear a lot of complaints, a lot of anecdotes, but I see no hard numbers. I see no data. And without something to measure the effectiveness of our approach, we're just flapping in the wind. We're just hoping something works, but then we're not even sure if the actions we take have any impact. All we have are what people tell us. And then with that, human resources needs to build in these expectations. If you have a phone, if you are getting allowance for your phone, it will be made public. You need to know that going in. And with that expectation, it builds the understanding that it's not just a great deal. There is a trade-off for it. You give up some of your privacy for this money or the phone. That's not been established. So to suddenly put that out, I think makes a lot of the employees feel violated or their privacy. And yes, rightly so, we pay it. My gosh, it's our absolute right to put it out there. But I think you need to manage also the staff expectation. They didn't expect that. So that takes a little time, it takes a little direction, and takes some thoughtfulness and some intentionality with it. I think that serves an organization. So when someone asks me, how does your organization lead? I go, well, we lead through process, through outcome-based measurement and tactics like that, as opposed to knee-jerk reaction. That's what I'd like to report. So I'd like to sit with you, Mr. Chairman, and kind of hash out a plan and then deliver that to my uppers. As a communication director, I am trusted with a lot of responsibility, but not a whole lot of authority. I can pass a message, but I'm the messenger. I am not counsel. I am not a director. I am not the director of directors, but I am an instrument and tool of all of the above.
Go ahead,
And
Tom.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's a good point as far as the, private cell phones and taking the funding, the assistance or the program. But back in my day, everybody knew that that was a requirement. That your phone is, when you take that allowance, then it's an extension of your phone. And it's anybody can contact you through your phone because you took that money. So I guess it would be department specific maybe, or the admin, whoever set it up. I can't remember what the contract is when you sign it either. I think there might be some details there. It's been a long time. I never took it. Always had a work phone. So the allowance form, I can't remember what's on it, but you could have a good point, but I'm not sure. I think it would be department specific. So there are people that aren't ignorant to that fact, but maybe there are. So they get a chance to not use the allowance anymore, I guess, or get a work phone. They could have a choice. Carry two phones.
based on your professional history, Mr. Vice Chair, I'm not surprised that you took upon yourself this high standard of responsiveness to the community. And I wish all the employees had the same habits, but I don't see that. And I'm not sure that that is shared anymore. There is so much information in the onboarding process that it's difficult to absorb, having gone through it back in January myself. I think it's a difficult to onboard that many people and give them that much information and expect them to absorb. So this one might be worth highlighting just to bring us up to speed. And then from that point forward, we can always lean on it. This was the expectation. You know this.
Yeah, part of the change in field personnel when we used to rely on FM radio communication all the time in the field, with the advancement of cell phones and repeaters and more availability of good communication and dead zones. Those field personnel that we wanted to have contact with, we said, you got a choice. You can either take the allowance or we'll provide you a work phone. And they could choose either one. But some of those were strictly to make sure we were in contact with personnel safety and communication of field workers. And that's what the desire was for some of those. And I can see where some of those phones that a department may say, well, we don't need you to call this field technician. It's strictly in-house utilization. So I can see also that a department may refine their numbers in that manner.
I think we can figure something out.
Definitely. Look forward
We'll
to it.
get there. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
You missed Bob. We'll be back this afternoon. I just was going to do an update on 93, I think. Could be.
It was Scott had an agenda request in, so it was kind of miscommunication with them, so that's what.
Mark, I think you're up. Sarah, good morning. Answer your phones.
I got two actually also. I got my personal that I actually use as work phone and I have my work phone, so.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, council members. We are going to be starting on page 6, I believe. This is a request from the Molitor family to utilize Arlie baseball fields this weekend, the 5th and the 6th. It's a memorial softball tournament. We'd require that they pay a $300 cash deposit, required insurance as well, and it'd just be a 2-dayer. Just looking for approval.
Motion by Tom, second by James. All in favor? Go ahead, Len.
Why $300?
This was so that way we have a deposit for cleanup, things like that. We about a few years ago they did this tournament before, and we had to go do quite a bit of cleanup. This is to make sure that they stick with that and they'll get that deposit back once we can go and confirm that it's all been cleaned up.
James?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. On those, I'm thinking of deferred maintenance. How do we? Well, that kind of needs some help, and the other one in Mission to the one by the water tower. How do we put into effect some kind of funding for maintenance on these different baseball fields and diamonds and such? I'm thinking of the ones in Arlene and the one next to the cemetery in Mission. I think they call it the Blue Field. Needs some work and such. How do we? I don't know. I'm not necessarily need an answer. I'm just, how do we figure out how to address those needs and such? I know some areas that get used more and some areas not as much, but anyway.
It's interesting because about every 5 to 6 years you get a new set of coaches, a new set of people coming in, and necessarily they're the ones that usually are maintaining these fields. They're on top of it. So that way, and it's part of their permit really in these next months that they have it to keep that maintained. But, with water issues, funding, things like that, especially with inflation in the last, 4 years, it's become a little bit more difficult. We've actually gone to the board with a couple people, one, the Mission Blue Fields. There's a guy that's out of, he owns a place on the top of Jetty Hill. And he's wanting to actually come in and put in a water system there. He's just kind of right now kind of getting into the work so that way he can present to you guys. But that's only one field. How are we going to do the rest? Ronan does a pretty good job on maintaining theirs. Arlie used to until, I can't remember his name. He moved to Arizona, but he used to maintain it. Awesome. But it's just, we get those inflations of different, genres, kids, new parents, new people coming in, and the only thing we can do is just do a compliance check and try to make sure we try to stay on top of it. But I definitely know your concerns.
Go ahead, James.
Maybe, I guess one thing is too, is just if we have a inventory of where they're all at, that'd be kind of cool to see too, just to know where all the different ones are. Active ones, inactive ones. Thanks.
So I had 4, and Len, you're 4? And Martin and Danielle, I'm not seeing their vote. Danielle's up. Okay, I got it. 6-4, and Martin's out of the room. So
Yay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'm in favor. Sorry, took a minute.
unanimous. Thank you, Martin.
Open. Next one is for the Stasso Lane house. It was put up on bid. It was advertised for 3 consecutive weeks. We just need somebody, it's a sealed bid. We got one bid on it, so minimum bid was 150 is what was put out for the advertisement. We did receive one bid. Tara's gonna open it and then read it out in front of council to approve or disapprove the bid.
Mitchell Parker Jr. for 180.
Do we need a motion to accept? Motion to accept the,
Motion by James to accept the bid, second by Tom. All in favor? I think we're unanimous.
Checks on this individual or, I mean, he is a tribal member, right?
Yeah. We do actually do background checks on our home site applicants and anything else when it's a clustered home site, when they're more standalone like this, where it's one another home site or anything like that, as long as they're not a sexual or violent offender. They usually are allowed to have the neighbors in that and not have to be an isolated home site.
Danielle, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mark, I would really appreciate a written response to the email I sent you over a month ago about the home sites down here in the agency that are not in compliance with the ordinance. We recently had a shooting down here again. The drug activity is not acceptable. They're in complete violation, and the tribe owns these parcels. And we're allowing this illegal activity to continue to happen. And it's negatively impacting children's lives and the lives of our elders and the lives of good community members. So I would hope that I get a response to that email in the coming days. Thank you.
Is there a police report on that shooting?
We never received one. Or any of the drug activity. We don't receive the police reports directly.
I talked to Officer Haynes just on Sunday, and he said they've continued to forward you reports. So I don't know where the misinformation is coming from, whether it's Law and Order or your department, but I'm telling you, this is the second shooting down here in the last year, and it comes from these non-compliant home sites. And these children are suffering, our elders are suffering, and the community is suffering. There's an ordinance in place and it should be followed. And we are sick of it. So please do your job.
James.
yeah, back to the other subject, Mark, I think we talked and you're talking about putting a fence in there on this property, right? Between Frank and.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you remind me where generally the line is between?
Right at the garage.
Right at the garage.
And it's actually, will separate the driveways.
Okay.
So there'll be another driveway for
Goes out on the.
to the mom's old place.
Yeah.
The one that just sold, and then there'll be the one on Frank's place. And I responded to Tony last week or the week before on that, Danielle. I thought you were forwarded on to it. I'll send that email back out to you and I'll follow up with Law and Order because I'm not receiving a single report from them.
Thank you, Mark. It's just really disheartening. You can come clear the trash out of their yards every year for years. It does not stop the disobedience. And that's not what the community is requesting. We're not asking you to clean their yards for them again and again and again. We're asking you to hold them accountable and hold them to the standard of the ordinance because this is just sickening. I'm glad nobody's dead. How many shootings does it take for us to actually do something here?
Mr. Chair, I don't appreciate being cussed at by a council person. And the other is the ordinance does state, yes, this is tribal policy. We have to follow up with compliance after compliance. If they're in non-compliance, we have no authority or neither does council. When it comes to illegal activity, under the law, they have to be prosecuted in the court of law. And if they're not prosecuted through court, it is not law-abiding, unlawful conduct. They are considered public nuisance. And I'm sorry, but I don't deserve to be talked to like that as a person or a department head, and neither should anybody else. And thank you for your time. I'm leaving.
I do apologize to you for that, Mark. Jennifer?
Yeah, we have Martin and Danielle zooming in today. I don't know what kind of a state they're in, but you were absolutely right. That is unacceptable. No one in our workplace deserves to be talked to that way. No one in our workplace deserves to have the F word used against them. That is unacceptable. And I am so sorry that you were talked to that way. No one in our workplace deserves that.
And we try to do our best customer service.
And you know what? I apologize. People in my community don't deserve to be shot at. So thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, Mark, I don't agree with that language either. I mean, council members upset, but they don't have to call you, 4-letter words. So that's not acceptable. I don't agree with that comment from that council member. So.
Again, I'll apologize again, Mark. Sorry for that. But it's not appropriate. Is there anything else? Tom?
Just a couple of follow-up items, Mark and Tara. I say this because my sister is now on Polson City Commission, and she's one of those people that does the Friday thing on, yeah. And I guess, that whole situation with them rebuilding the street over there and moving them, and that kind of caused some chaos. So, they're looking for a new venue for that. And so I didn't know if that Dupuy lot there would be a good site for, even though you're setting up spots for our own tribal vendors, if there would be room for something like that, because she may bring it up because I brought it up to her. Just give you a heads up.
Which that actually is awesome because we're actually in talks with the Polson City Manager, Ed, and we are actually now going to be meeting with the Chamber of Commerce in Polson to talk about a lot of these, because a lot of places is just getting too stuffed up, and this is starting to become a pretty good prime spot. We're in the process of working with Ken Dupuy, selling some of his things on there, so that way it opens up a little bit more for us to move and keep pushing forward on this. But yeah, we're working with the city of Polson also, so yes, that is awesome. So
Cool.
hopefully we can push it forward.
That was my other follow-up. It sounded like Doug is getting some headway, or you guys are working on the demolition of that house.
Yeah, Tribal Lands took it upon themselves to help Doug and get the outside of it clean for now.
Good.
We are still waiting on the waiver to come in so we can knock down the shed, but the house and that we are still having the issue with because it's dual ownership. Tribes do not own that house and the Dupuys do not own it outright. 50% of that home is owned by another individual, but it does have to be abated. So that is one of the other issues, is that part of it, the abatement side.
Okay, thank you. My last issue was Ms. Schultz called me from down in Mission. She's kind of homeless, Shauna. And what is the status with her? I mean, you can share that with us, and we can go in executive if you want, but
She just needs to come in and work with us.
okay.
And every time we schedule a meeting, it's another excuse and she won't show up.
Okay.
And we've went down there and she hasn't been there or anything else.
Yeah, the last message I got, it sounded like she was waiting out in the parking lot. She was trying to call you guys and people weren't answering their phones. And so there was this, she had this bizarre message. So I didn't know what, it's, you know what I mean?
I actually talked to Shauna and I explained to her she needed to come in and she was busy dropping her son off at work because he is working at forestry, I believe now. So I have been in contact with her, but like Mark said, every time I set something up, she doesn't show up. So, I can reach back out to her. I do have her phone number
Well, that'd be great if you
and
could.
see if she would
Super.
like to come in.
Yeah, that'd be super.
Could just do a quick executive on this subject, please, with Mark and the staff.
We will go out of regular into executive. Yeah.
Thanks, Tribal Council. Have a good day.
Jennifer, I think we've lost our quorum. I know. I just want to make sure you know that. Good morning. Welcome. I hope your visit's going well. We can do introductions. I'm Mike Dawson, Chairman. I represent the west side of the res. But Tom.
Good morning. Good to meet you all. Tom McDonald. I'm the vice chair. I'm a council member at large.
James Steele Jr. I was chairman 20 years ago, and now I was representing Arley then. Now I'm representing St. Ignatius District, and I'm the current treasurer.
I'm Jennifer Finley. I'm the councilwoman from the Polson District.
Good morning and welcome. My name is Len Twoteeth. I'm the council representative for Elmo.
We do have Martin Charlo online. Martin, do you want to say anything? Might be indisposed. There he is.
Hesquex, good morning. Sorry I can't be there in person. Yeah, thank you for coming in. Yeah, have a great time while you're here and safe travels home. Thank you one much.
And we have a few folks at a funeral today. So welcome. Please, you turn on the microphone just by pushing the talk button right there. And you don't have to hold it.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Kurt Fredenberg. I'm with the Bureau of Indian Affairs, Northwest Region. I was previously the Deputy Regional Director for Indian Services and have been placed in the acting position as the Regional Director. I know you probably met Dan Galvin when he was here previously, so he has been reassigned to a position in DC. We're hoping he comes back. I hope he performed quite a good service to you, and we'd like to have him back. He works well with our team. So I'm here for 120 days, and then we'll see what happens next. So appreciate you taking the time to have us here and meet you.
Good morning. I'm Dawn Davis. I am your acting superintendent for the agency. I'm also the permanent superintendent for the Fort Hall agency. That's where I'm from. I'm a member of the Shoshone-Bannock tribes. I have already been working with several of your departments, particularly with your realty and your leasing office, with Mark Couture and his staff. I met yesterday, excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. I met yesterday with the Division of Fire, with Tony and Ron and several others came. I sat in on a meeting last week to sort of get an idea of what you all have going on and just sort of familiarizing myself with the needs of the tribe. So it's been I just kind of dove right in. So I'm here to be of service, and it's great to meet many of you. I met the chairman by phone not too long ago. So thank you for having us.
Good morning, Tracy Benedict, Division of Transportation for the Bureau of Indian Affairs in the Northwest region. I primarily work in Division of Transportation, but I'm also assisting the regional director currently.
Well, welcome, and I'm glad you've made contact with many of the departments. I don't know what, I think Jennifer was trying to get you scheduled with everybody. Anybody have? Go ahead, James.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a general question in terms of, when we have different things that need to be signed by the superintendent. And we kind of had a streamlined process, so to speak, when we had, you know, our superintendent here, and now it's a little bit more discombobulated, so to speak. How do we, short of driving over to Portland and having staff people find the regional director or the designated person to sign things, mortgages, etc. Yeah, what are our options when we need something signed in a critical manner or time frame? My suggestion was let's load up the car and drive over and get a staff person room if we need to and camp out with our files and get them signed by somebody that needs to have them signed. Particularly the other one, the one is with the loans with through tribal credit. You know, a lot of families are in that process, and then okay, we get the approvals here, but then we've got to send it off to the superintendent. Well, the superintendent is where, you know, and how do we streamline that? Thank you.
All right. So Don and I are both in acting positions, but you know, our goal is to service the tribes, and we want to try to streamline and make things as easy as possible and be as productive as possible for the tribes we serve. So I would suggest I was kind of questioning with you. You sound like you were almost talking about a wet signature or something like that, but you know, if it's an electronic signature that you need, please feel free to email it to Don and CC myself. That way, if you know, if there's any pause or lingering items that needed to be taken care of, you know, they'll be on my radar, and I can either take action but Don should be able to handle it. So, Don, you want to add anything?
Yeah, so I've shared with your department managers that I want to keep things as streamlined as possible and sort of following what Shane had already had in place. So I'm not changing anything as far as signature processes. In working with Realty, I've not come across any of the loan documents that you're talking about, but I have worked on several of the sales. I've worked on several permits, some ag leases, plenty of leases. That's been my majority of my time with CSKT right now is with leases. So as far as signatures, I would just be happy to just follow that online process. And, you know, I've kind of shared with the department managers too, that if I'm not getting you something that you need timely, put that in the email. Let me know that this is timely and I'm able to address it as quickly as I possibly can. And also talking with the Realty office, you know, we do have, you know, electronic signatures that are just, we're ready to go. And, you know, I'm trying to keep things, like I said, as streamlined and as simple as possible. So there are things that I can approve at my level, at the local level. Other issues may need to go to the region for reviews, such as your NEPAs, your NEPA reviews, your EAs, things like that, that might take a little bit longer. But as far as processes, we're trying to keep it as streamlined as simple as possible.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Len.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. And once again, thank you for joining us this morning. Can you explain your experiences that you have with irrigation? Do you? And have you had a chance to meet with our irrigation staff yet?
Yeah. So I guess just to give you a little bit background of myself, I have a PhD in natural and water resources. So I spent a lot of time doing research around water law management and policy. As far as irrigation projects, one of my internships for my PhD was looking at the Fort Hall irrigation project. So I spent a little bit of time in looking at that. Yeah, so I also have a background in GIS, and we actually just came from a tour of the Mission Valley Power Project in several of the areas, and that's actually the continuation of our tour today, is looking at the rest of the project. Mm-hmm.
Have you any questions for us?
I just want to reiterate, if you need anything, feel free to reach out to me anytime. And I will get on it and try to, shake it loose, whatever's in there, and take care of anything. Like I said, we're here to serve the tribes. So whatever you need, let us know. And we don't want anything to sit and languish and not get taken care of. So we'll try to be on top of it and provide the best service we can.
Yeah, and to mirror what Curtis said, I'm also in the same position. If there are some things that I do have to address that sounds like there's a little bit of outstanding issues that were not addressed prior to Shane's departure. So I'm trying to follow up on those. I do get calls from some of the membership, which is good because they also are having that sort of they're not getting their needs met too. So there's the concern from the membership too that we're trying to address. So I think, just to reiterate my position, I would encourage all of you to reach out to me and let me know what I need to be aware of, what is of concern, anything outstanding that I'm not aware of. Because as I'm getting familiar with the position, I am becoming more familiarized with what wasn't done, what's lingering, what needs to be done. So please feel free to reach out.
Tom and then Lynn.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, thank you for coming in, spending some time here and volunteering, I guess, for your acting tour of duties. The question related to the irrigation project here on the Flathead Reservation is, for me, is maintaining our minimum in-stream flows. And so it's always been a struggle here with operation of the reservoirs and the diversion points that sometimes things go awry and a small stream can be dewatered or there can be an effect. And a year like this, when we're facing drought and high temperatures, it's really critical to make sure the irrigation project personnel are fulfilling that requirement so we don't have a fish kill. So if you could pay particular interest in that, Shane was good at that because he was actually a fisheries biologist and he knew the system pretty well. So we were making some improvements in that regard. So hopefully there won't be any altercations or incidents, I guess, for that. Every now and then we get some where they go below in-stream flow and we have to remind the project and send a letter. But it's been pretty good so far. But that's a pretty key element for us. Thank you.
I think you've already had meetings with Mission Valley Power. So probably have those issues all addressed already. Yeah. Is there anything else? Lynn?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as we move through the summer months, one of the issues we will be addressing is low lake levels. Okay. We're going to have a drastic drop here probably the latter part of July and early August, and the media really picks up on that, and they really go after the tribes. So I look forward to working with your office and making sure that we're communicating the right information out there, especially to the regional offices, so they're not so they have the right information on why we're dealing with this situation and what our remedy is, because we're kind of what's happening is we're deviating from our plan with the FERC agreement. So there'll be a lot of media backlash from that. So just wanted to just bring that to your attention, and we look forward to working with you guys on that.
Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Since you had your meeting with fire and I didn't get a chance to ask any of our resource professionals, Tony or others or Jordan or legal folks, the ramification of the presidential order to combine all fire agencies together into one, is that affecting the BIA? Is that inclusive to the BIA?
What we're hearing right now is there is some talk about that. We haven't gotten any formal guidance out of that. And I met with Paul Ryan, who is our regional fire officer, and it's still just talk. They don't know what's going to happen yet. So Again, I would think that they're holding off until, well, consultation is completed. Right now, they're waiting for a consultant to put together the transcripts of the consultation meetings and also the submitted requests. And so we're thinking in the next couple weeks that they should have that report done. And then they'll consider consultation over. Then I think we'll see some of this stuff start to move. So we'll be watching closely for that. But as of right now, I don't have any kind of news on the consolidation of fire or there was the other programs that were in there, which were HR, IT, those kind of things are also in there.
It's kind of typical of the answer we've been getting about a lot of things since the new administration got put in place. Any other questions or comments? Well, we sure appreciate you coming today and meeting with us and meeting with all our people. And is it your first time on our res? You know who we are then.
Just a quick comment. So some of us on council attend the annual elder abuse prevention conference that you have over in Fort Hall. It's one of the best venues here in Indian Country, and we really appreciate the fact that Fort Hall is getting that message out there, and because it is a sensitive issue, and it's a really good venue, and a lot of good people get together on that. So just wanted to mention that too.
Well, thank you. And I'm hoping you're enjoying your visit.
The casino's got good, cool weather as well. Thank you. Yeah, you could bring them up if you like.
Good morning, Dan. Go out of regular into executive of a quorum. So we can approach the question of the ordinance or the resolution, the powwow resolution. Motion by James.
Motion.
Second by Tom. All in favor? I got unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, council
Thank
members.
you.
Real quick before we break, you met him virtually last week, but this is our other summer intern, Connor McCauley. He's down here with us today, sort of observing the council process, and he's working on a couple issues with us. So
good to see you again.
All right, have him come up and introduce himself.
Yeah, where are you from and all that? Yeah.
You can't be in law school without being able to talk.
I'm very now I'm on the record. Trying to find my notes here. So again, Bob Hosen with MDT. Mr. Chairman, again, thanks very much for having me on very short notice. I just wanted to get in front of all of you and share some information. I guess two parts of my discussion today. The first one being the NAE grant, which is one of the grants that you were successful in obtaining for what we're calling the Nine Pipes project. It's tied to two other projects in our contract. We have the safety project for building the southbound left turn lane right there at the lodge. That's a project funded with safety funding. And then we have the WCPP, Wildlife Crossing Pilot Program project, and that is to build the overpass over Highway 93. And then the third part is the big part, and that's the Nine Pipes project that's funded through the NAE grant. And that goes from the north end of the the wildlife crossing overpass north about 3.5 miles, I believe. And the reason I'm here today is because of that NAE grant and what's going on with the federal funding right now. Late last week, we received word, we at MDT received word that it is looking highly unlikely that the NAE funding will continue. And the direction, what we've been told is that the grant funding, any of the funding that's not currently obligated is going to be rescinded. And on that project, there was about, I believe it's $72 million grant. We've obligated about $11 million for the PE phase, the preliminary engineering, the design work. But the remainder of it is the construction funding, which will be obligated later in the process. And so that funding is at risk, at severe risk. And like we were, again, I was in meetings on Friday, and the language that we got at that point is extremely unlikely that that will be remaining in the bill as it goes forward, the federal funding bill. So I got that great bit of news late on Friday, and then went on vacation with my wife to Canada. I was supposed to be celebrating our anniversary. I was celebrating our anniversary. I don't want that to go on the record as I was supposed to be. I was celebrating our anniversary. We had a great time. Came back a day early, and between when I left on Friday and late yesterday afternoon, there was rumors of a few senators looking at trying to figure out a way to preserve some of the NAE funding. Not sure what it looked like. It didn't sound, there wasn't a lot of hope in it. It was like some people are taking a look at it. Obviously, here in Montana, our two senators are well aware. In addition to your project or our project here at CS on the reservation, we also have a project in Missoula. So for the state of Montana, that's about $100 million in funding that was potentially going to be lost. So they were looking at getting something put in yesterday afternoon. About, let's see, it's 1 o'clock now. So about 2 hours ago, I got a phone call where there have been 2 draft amendments to the bill written that they're hoping to debate later today and tomorrow, trying to preserve. I don't have all the details, but so I don't want to say that all hope is lost on the bills. There are 2 amendments that they're going to be discussing today, tomorrow, to try to preserve the NAE grants, finding other ways to fund them. So I just wanted to make sure that, Mr. Chairman, that you and the council heard about where we are. Obviously, MDT, myself, and Director Dorrington, we're tracking this very closely, but I wanted you to hear from us, not from a newspaper reporter or a Facebook post or something. So that's the reason for the sudden, hey, Bob's here this morning. I was trying to get the information to you so you heard it the best I have. I know that as the week goes on, things are going to be probably continuing to change, and I don't know the best way I'll convey to Scott as we hear it. Scott and I both been kind of scrambling today trying to figure out what the latest news is, but that's the best I've got for you right now to keep you up to date.
Well, that's not fun, Bob. Tom, go ahead.
Anyway, so to this morning, Bob, I figured it was bad news. What is our congressional rep from Western Montana have to say about it?
He is very, very concerned. He's definitely, I believe, our entire state delegation is very aware of the situation and how 100 million might not be a lot to a lot of states, but it's huge for the state of Montana. You know, typically we have around $400 million worth of construction work we do statewide. So that's, 25% increase in our funding. It's critical to, excuse me, to Western Montana, and they're very supportive of MDT. And that one thing that I can say for sure is they recognize the tremendous needs and the impacts of the project of that magnitude and the need we have here in Western Montana. So they've been very, very supportive of MDT in all of our projects. And this one, I mean, this is a huge project for us.
If you track the money backwards, where's the core? Where does it come from?
So the NAE funding, and again, not the expert here, but what I've learned is one of the reasons that the NAE grants became kind of on the chopping block, if you will, is for that very reason. And that is that the funding source is from many categories, the way I understand it. So they developed the NAE program, and they funded it by grabbing remnant monies from lots of other pockets, if you will. And that's why I think that's one of the reasons, the way it was explained to me, that's why that program came on the table, as looking for a place to trim money, as it was monies that were originally intended for other purposes that, in our case, come to an extremely critical project. I don't want to speak for others, but I know that we're not looking to do, I'm a big proponent of, is it nice or is it necessary? My staff is sick of me asking that question all the time. And this one falls down that line of this is a necessary project for us here in Western Montana.
When they define obligated, I'm wondering exactly what that is. We're the recipients of the grant, right? The tribe? Can't you call it obligated when we actually tied it to you?
I had some questions into my federal highways contacts on that. I know the grant agreement is executed, so they set aside some money, but there's that language in there about being obligated, which is it involves a little more details, as for some things like having the right of way and things like that lined up, so that they don't obligate money and then they can't get right of way or something like that. I think there's a couple of things. Do you know any more of the language about obligation, Bob?
Let me see if my staff put together a great document, but it's really long. So give me just a moment, please, Mr. Chairman. So the obligation, I can't find it in here in a timely fashion. I apologize. But obligation for MDT is when we actually award or when we advertise for a contract. And with this being a different style of contract delivery method, the Nine Pipes project is a progressive design build project, which I have to admit, this is the first project or first contract utilizing that delivery method that I've been involved with. So with our standard design bid build project, the money is obligated the day we advertise the contract to go to construction. In this case, there's multiple components or packages to a progressive design build, and we've obligated the preliminary engineering component because we've entered into a contract with the firm to develop the design of the project. Other steps in there are, as Scott has indicated, the right-of-way acquisition. Well, we can't do right-of-way acquisition until we are at a certain point in the contract, so we know what we need to buy, so we're not going out and pestering people multiple times. And then once we get the right-of-way purchased, then we start doing utility relocate type work. And then the next milestone is when we're at I'm not sure if it's at 60 or 70 or 90% of the design is complete, and that's when we enter into the construction phase of the project. Then that's when we obligate the majority of the money at that point. We can look at doing some early work packages where if we know typically it's something like irrigation. We get the irrigation portion designed first, and we want to get in there and get that irrigation work done before we have to turn the water on, so we can do that package. We don't have the whole project design, but we have just that package design. So it has to do when these trigger points are met within the contract process when we obligate the next phase of money.
Yeah, I know, I think final environmental documents have to be completed too.
I believe that's correct.
Updated. Yeah, so, yeah, with all those things, we're waiting on, more word from Federal Highways about that. At least I am, for my contacts with the Office of Tribal Transportation in Federal Highways.
Any other questions for Scott or Bob? Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, I know that Jordan Thompson is aware of this and had been sending emails to me a few weeks ago about this being in the bill potentially. So we had been talking back and forth and Greg Spar a little bit.
They're looking at taking back $61 million. They're looking at, if I heard Bob right.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may, what we're looking at right now is we're trying to figure out what next steps going forward are. And we've got a couple options in front of us that we're considering. We're trying to figure out what the best step is. And until we find out, we want to be doing some pre-planning, if you will, if the worst case scenario comes to pass, so we don't lose any more time than we have to. But we also don't want to throw in the towel when there's a chance that maybe this is just all gonna just add more gray hairs to my noggin and stuff, and at the end it's just kidding and we get our money. So trying to figure out what we can do. The WCPP grant and the safety project onto Eagle Pass Trail, those are both projects that we know the funding is secure. One of the challenges, though, is that we've entered into a contract with the team to deliver $100 million worth of work, and we're looking at having about $10 million worth of work left. So we need to be talking with our engineering and contracting partners as well as to what their thoughts are going forward. So that's one of the discussion points we're going to have. The other thing that we're talking about is, do we try to put the entire design, do we take this to the finish and design the entirety of the project, so when we get ready to go forward, if we do lose this funding, the next opportunity that comes up, if we have the project already designed, do we go forward with it from that point? But one of the challenges there is that with the progressive design build project, one of the things that makes a project of this magnitude desirable to go progressive design build is we're designing a project that meets the abilities and the equipment and the logic of the contractor that's helping to design it. That's one of the strengths of a project like this. So if we design a project for contractor A and then contractor B or C gets it, so there's just some other nuances there as well. So at this point, I'm before you with a whole lot of, I wish I had more information. And at this point, my commitment is I'll do everything I can to keep you apprised of what's going on as soon as I have the information. But again, I really did not want you to read the paper and hear this kind of news of that magnitude that way.
I appreciate that. Bob, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, not necessarily a question for Bob, but for us. Our lobbying efforts, I guess, is what comes to mind, and maybe our partners that are able to lobby. Maybe that'd be good to figure out how to, yeah, like maybe we'll visit with him. But thanks for the report, and I appreciate that clarification on your, what did you say? It was your anniversary and it became a.
I'm proud of myself for catching the misstep there, Mr. Chairman, Councilman. Yeah, that it was a great weekend. So I also, if I can provide a little bit more update to the other project, if you're interested.
Please do.
And Scott can help me with this because they had meetings while I was gone. But the Post Creek Hill project, I was here about a month ago, almost to the day, I think, when I shared that we were having some challenges with the Post Hill Creek project with the funding and cost escalation. We had a discussion about that. At this point, the team has decided that the original project was a 3.6 mile portion. And the funding we have doesn't align with the needs of that length of a project. So we have made the decision to trim the project limits, and what's going to get built is going to be from starting just south of the bridge over Post Creek. It'll build the new bridge to the design as discussed, the 500-foot bridge, and then we will be building up Post Creek Hill. We won't make it all the way to the top of the hill. We'll make it past McDonald Lake Road, so we'll be able to develop that turn lane and the majority of the truck climbing lane going up the hill. But that was the unfortunate change that we have to make. So we're going to have a little bit of work left at the beginning end, and then from the I think it's just shy of the church is where we're going to stop, I believe. So we'll have to get from there up to basically the lodge. Instead of having a mile left in the middle, we're going to have about a mile and a half, I think, is where we're going to end up with, or almost 2 miles. So that's where we are with that project.
Questions? Tom?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for that update, Bob. Getting the bridge in, that's really critical. So what if we have an iJokes passing lane going up Post Creek Hill? That's the way it goes. I want to backtrack to the progressive build design. Would there be any other examples where someone else is instituting that in the United States where they're still getting funding? Well, this is unique. It's all unique, but just don't know. Is that, if you write that up, does that allow for an exception? Is there like?
So that's a really good question, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman. The challenge with progressive design build, while it's new to Montana, it's not new to the country. It's been used a lot. It's been being used in the vertical construction world for a long time. In Montana, it's like I say, this is our first go at it with in heavy civil, as in highway building. But the method it's not new. It's just new to us in Montana. It really lends itself to those really complex projects that need to be done in a really timely fashion, which brings multiple challenges in itself. So I don't know. I don't know. It's something that I'm going to have to dig into a little bit more. I'm hoping when I walk out the door that shortly my phone rings and everybody says that the amendment was successful and they debated it and we're going to be able to retain our funding. But it's just such a challenging area to work in that the progressive design build team, I mean, they've been, and not only is it a challenging area to work in, but it's also an extremely challenging timeline that the grant put in front of us to have so much work be done so quickly from design to construction. So we're going like crazy to meet that final obligation date. And then to have this hiccup is really, I've got a whole team of folks that are fairly disheartened when they heard the news.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. I had a question on the Leon Road portion of Post Creek.
Okay.
I noticed, I'm looking at the map now, I didn't know it was named Bigfoot Trail. You familiar with that? It's when you go on to the west on Leon Road, then it comes back, yeah, it's in the field off to the west. Like they're putting in a driveway or a road for housing development and such.
Okay.
I see on the map here, it says Bigfoot Trail. One of the, remembering Lloyd Irvin and particularly when they had the design and talking about this section of the road and then they put the church in back 20 years ago. The issue was with those two councilmen, Ron Trahan and Lloyd Irvin, is that why didn't they have that driveway of that church all the way connected down to Leon Road? And now I see this long Bigfoot trail that's, the footprint looks about as long as from the church to Leon. I'm just kind of wondering, I don't know, it's kind of after the fact, but in terms of the access to that church, is there a way to make them have a Bigfoot trail north and all the way down to Leon Road? Just a random thought.
Councilman, Mr. Chairman, again, good question. The church has been a concern for all of us for a long time. And the one thing, the project that we're going to be developing and delivering over the next couple of years, as I just said, is going to stop short of there. So with the development taking place, and I was not aware of Bigfoot Lane out there. Actually, that's the first I've heard of it. So I think we may have opportunity to work with it and see if there's a better way that we can tie that in and bring the church onto the highway at a safer spot. I'd definitely be interested in taking a look at it. And it may be easier. So we're definitely going to have to take a look at that as we develop the next phase of the project. And if it makes sense, if we can, a lot of times it's easier to develop that off system road rather than putting another turn lane and having the challenges on Highway 93. There may be a true win-win situation available there.
Thank you.
Anything else? Tom?
I promised my daughters that I'd say this for my granddaughters, and so they were wondering if there couldn't be turtle crossing warning signs put on Highway 93 in the Kettle region because they saw an almost accident where a car stopped and kids ran out on the road to herd a turtle across, not them, across Highway 93 in busy traffic. And then they saw how many, I guess that day there was quite a few dead turtles. And I thought maybe we had a turtle crossing sign before, but I can't remember.
Mr. Vice Chairman, I agree. I saw that myself last year. I came through there and there was a couple of ladies with the best of intention trying to save turtles, and I was so fearful for them. Their vehicle was parked in a terribly unsafe location, and they were not wearing any protective gear or anything. They were wearing, they blended in well, probably a nice asphalt shade of gray sweatsuit or something. I don't know, but I was terrified. So if you have some ideas for what we could put up for signs, we could definitely, my brain's thinking about, don't stop to save the turtles. That's not the message I really want to put on a board, but it's what I want to tell people,
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what the right answer is.
I think they were concerned that most drivers are ignorant that all these painting turtles are trying to cross Highway 93 in this reach of the highway.
Yep.
that maybe if there was a sign that people would actually look for them and slow down and not, not as many would get run over.
Yeah.
I think that's all they were considering. I said, well, yeah, there's deer crossing signs warning the next 5 miles or whatever, but I've never seen a turtle sign like that.
We've got deer, sheep, moose. Maybe I'll see what we can come up with. I'll take a look when I drive back down that way and see if we got a place to put, if nothing else, if we can put up some reader boards or something that just says,
I think a sign would just, multiple signs would do it versus a reader board.
what is the season, if you will? Does anybody know what the length of time is that the things are crossing the road?
We can ask our wildlife people.
Yeah, if you could find out for me, let me know. I'll see. I mean, I have no problem.
Why does the turtle cross the road, and what time of year does it?
Yeah, what time of the year does the turtle cross the road?
Leave the chicken on the other side.
Well, the pond always looks better on the other side of the road,
Grass is greener.
Yeah.
Water is bluer.
Okay. Mr. Chair, just a question. I'm just doing a quick internet search, trying to see what highways in the country have done turtle crossing, etc. So maybe that might be a thought anyway.
Need a turtle underpass, do we?
We got a lot of turtle fence coming.
Yeah. Thank you, Bob.
All right.
Appreciate the information.
Again, I thank you for letting me crash your meeting today, and thank you so much for getting me some time today. Greatly appreciated.
We'll adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.